Okay, in this video, what I want to do is I want to talk about what generator objects are. Pretty much what these do is they work with splines. So think about your pen tool in Illustrator. It's 2D. Well, in Cinema 4D, we need a way of making those actually 3D. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing that we need an actual spline. So let's go ahead and this is our spline tool. If I click and hold, you'll see that we have a bunch of different options here. Now we do have the spline pen, that's the same sort of as Illustrator, but I want to actually just work with some of these, and these are just shapes that are already formed for us. So let's just go ahead and grab a text object. So I'm just going to hover over it and let go. And you'll see that we have text. And remember, I'm just using 1, 2, and 3 to move around and then holding my mouse. And I can see up here I have text. And down here in the object settings, and if you're not seeing that, that means you're off. So just go ahead and click your text object. And then I can just write something that I want to put here. So let me just say cool. All right. And then once I click off, you'll see that that auto updates for us. And we have our spline here. Now I do have options to go in and manipulate this. So I can go in and change what type of font I'm using. So if I wanted to use that one, or let's say, Times New Roman, that's always a nice clean font. I'll just put that one here. So what I want to do at this point is just play around with it. Now I do have a line, so I can align it left or right, that's fine. You can also change the height, how big it is. And remember, you can always do that with the scale tool too. So if I come in here to scale, I can go in and scale this object, but I'm going to keep it a nice size here. Let me just click back, and that's cool enough. I have horizontal spacing where I can almost get like a kerning effect. And then we have vertical spacing, but since I don't have anything stacked, it's not going to do anything here. And there we go. So we got our text object. So what we want to do is it's not actually 3D. So we need to make this 3D at this point. So how do we do that? Well, we need a generator object. And generator objects can be found pretty much right here. Now, if you're in the older version, the ones that's on the labs, it's found in this square here. So they just kind of moved it around. No big deal. It's still the same thing. So I'm just going to click and hold here. And then let's find that extrude object. So if I click on extrude, there we go. So I have my extrude and I have my text. But nothing has actually happened. And why is that? And the reason is because the text needs to be a child of the extrude. So how do I do that? Well, you're just going to take your text and just click and hold and push it up until the arrow points down. And once it points down and I let go, voila. There now we can see that my text is 3D. Now I also may want to go in and make some other changes here. So let's click on the extrude and we have some changes here. Now in the offset, on the older version, you'll see a X, Y, and Z, and on your Z, it's probably set to 20. If you want to change how thick your extrude is, go ahead and change that 20 number to something higher or something lower. But for me, on this version, and probably the version that you all downloaded, it's found here on the offset, and it's just this one single tab, and it's actually a little bit easier this way because no matter whether you're on the X, Y, and Z, it's going to sort of do it the same. So you can see that now I can go in and change this, but we also can change our subdivision. So I can go in and bump this number up. So if we think of subdivisions, just think of this as slices to the pie. So when I go into animate, it's going to animate a little bit smoother here. But I want to take a look at caps. Let's go in and take a look at caps here. And let's see what we can do with these options here. And we can see start cap and end cap is on. Let's go to the bevel shape and let's just see what happens if I turn this to curve. So I hit curve and then let me go in and change this. And you can see that now it seems to have more of a curvature to it, which is sort of kind of neat. Let me go in and say solid. Now I'll go in and change this. And that's doing some wonky stuff, so I probably don't want to do that. Let's see what step does. It seems like it's doing something on the outer edge. But I think curve is fine. Or you choose round, whichever one. And you can round this off a little bit if you want to do that. But that's pretty much how Extrude works. You go in, you get a spline, and then you just drop it in the actual extrude. And you can do this with any of these objects. A star, so let me just drop a star in there. And I'm going to drop another extrude. So if I click on extrude and drop that star in there we can see that now my star is now 3D. And I'll show you how you can take your Illustrator files and do the same thing with these. But that is how you can use Extrude to create 3D objects.